excited to start our Wealth Building Wednesday. I'm excited to introduce a dear friend. Okay, so like I'm not bringing anybody to you. This is a friend, someone I know and trust that I've known for years. And he just happens to be in the in the mortgage industry, just dominating. So like it's really cool to have my great friend Andy Zeman. How are you, brother?
What's up, Chris? It's so good to be here. Yeah, there's no lie, man. We go way, way back, right? We could take an entire, day seminar telling people our stories, but then they'd probably lock us up. So we can't be doing
Right.
that. So, so we'll stick to helping people make some money on this one. Man, I'm honored to be here. I'll tell you what, buddy, you've done a heck of a job with your career as well. It's an honor to be here, and friend or not friend, to be interviewed by somebody of your caliber in the real estate arena. So you've carved out a real niche for yourself there with Keller Williams, and frankly, any company you work for would be lucky to have you. So it's cool to be here and have you interview me and just kind of ask me some questions about something. And I promise you, if I don't know the answer, I'll make it up and I'll look confident. So don't worry about it.
Well, cool. So people that don't know you, Andy, and don't know who you are, I just want to kind of do a quick introduction. Andy Zeman has been in the loan. He's been a loan officer for 23 years. And during that period of time, he's helped over 5,000 families um, either finance a home and get funding. And so that equates to right around $1 billion of money that you've given out, which is like freaking insane.
I'd have
Um,
given it out, Chris. I'd have a longer line if I'd have given it out, buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
we
obviously they
hooked
have to put some
we hooked people up
documentation
with
in.
it. We
You
hooked
you
people up.
loaned it, loaned it.
Yeah.
And he personally also has about $5 million in his own personal real estate portfolio. So this is someone that I know and trust, and he lends in all 50 states, including the Virgin Islands. And so it's kind of cool to have you here. And this really kind of started is that you did a TikTok and I reposted it and stuff like that, but it was something that was really near and dear to my heart. It is because I work in that space of young adults and helping young adults and helping family members that are going through that through scholarships and stuff like that. And your video, your TikTok really said, you know what? Why am I sharing more about also helping the parents through this period of time? And our mission is to help to build families, communities, um, to build families, communities, and homes one home at a time. And I just thought this would be a great opportunity to have you come and talk because the wealth building is a key aspect of my business. And so I wanted you to just share a little bit about, and obviously we're in the space of talking about how when folks change from, hey, I got to send my kids to college, or I want to prepare my kids for college. And we look at real estate as a great vehicle to do that. What are some really cool things in that mortgage space when someone's looking to finance a home for maybe their kid attending college? That some things that they can do right now.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm going to come back to that question. Do you mind if I just kind of give like a high level sort of perspective on how I think of these things real quick?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay. So I too believe that there's two ways that we can do real estate finance, right? The first way is we can be order takers and we can just quote somebody a rate and whatever, or we can be guides and we can really help people solve problems they know exist or problems that they don't know exist. And those are the really powerful ones. So most Americans go through life looking at a financial box. Okay. It's like I got my 401k, I do a little bit of IRAs, I own my house, maybe I own a rental property, and I'm, doing good, right? I max out my 401ks, I save some cash, like I'm putting in my social security because the government, makes me. And at the end of the day, maybe I got a choice. Maybe I get social security. Maybe I got an option to do something else. Well, guys, this box that we're kept in or that we sort of self-contain ourselves in, and I say self-contained because that's really what it is. We're containing ourselves in this wealth box, and right on the other side of one of those walls of the box is real wealth, is real opportunity. That's where the real money is made. It's not made inside the box. It's made just on the outside. And I'm not talking about anything that creates a massive amount of risk. See, what we do in the mortgage industry is all about risk mitigation. I'm talking about maximizing opportunity. And so, Chris, I want people to think that, have that frame of reference for the things that we're going to talk about today, because what I'm going to share is some of these things are right for you. Some of these things are not right for you. Some of these things may be so off the wall you're not interested. Financially, I know they work. How? Everything I'm going to talk about today, I'm already doing. And so I know the results. I don't teach people things that I haven't done or that I don't do that aren't successful. I teach people the things that actually work. Trust me, the 5 million that we have plus in real estate, there's probably another couple that we just, we left some on the table, right? Without a question. So we learn those lessons. So listen, here's a couple ideas. Okay, I want to make this super, super, super simple. So this year, I think it was this year, because time flies when you're getting old, right? And we're coming up on like our 4th year out of college now, Chris. So I think, right, if I remember correctly, time's flying, right? So 4 years
Yeah.
out, here we go. All right, listen. So some of the rules in lending changed, and you can now do multifamily homes on conventional mortgages at 5% down. Okay, well, there's certain areas of the country where you can do 5% down on a $900,000 house, buy a duplex with it. Now, I'm not saying go out and go crazy, right? But you and I come from a background where houses are a little bit more affordable, right? We come from Columbus, right? Good old Cowtown. So we don't have the ability to go to 900,000, but we can go to 766. We can put 5% down on an owner-occupied multifamily house. So what does that mean? Well, it means, let's just say, right, my kids go to college. And by the way, I've told them very clearly, and I don't mind making this public, I will pay for 100% of their school if they go to Ohio State. I will pay for 50% of the school if they go anywhere other than a couple of schools that you and I both know. One of them is they're never allowed back in my house if they go to Michigan. So if you're Michigan fans, sorry, the way it works. Okay. And but in all seriousness, right? They go to school, right? My oldest goes to Ohio State. I'm going to go up there. Year 1, she's going to live in a dorm. Okay. Year
Yeah.
2, I'm putting my money. I'm putting 5% down on a house, multifamily home or single family, whatever I can get my hands on. Multifamily would be ideal. I will be, because this is allowed, I will be the income that qualifies for that mortgage. My daughter will live there. We will not qualify with any rental income, okay? Because if we qualify with rental income, it makes it an investment property and everything changes. So we're going to qualify off my income. I'm going to be what's called a non-occupant co-borrower. My 5% goes down. Now, my 5% down payment on a house and then making mortgage payments every single month, which are then offset by other people that are renting out rooms, okay, from my daughter in that particular case. My my 5% down is a heck of a lot cheaper than paying for a 4-year education. Now, when you and I went to school, right, college was still affordable to an extent, right? I got out of school. I took the 5-year plan, right, guys? So I'm really good at mortgages, wasn't so good at school. Chris was a much better student than me. The idea here, that's why we're all in real estate, right? No, listen, but the reality of this is that this leverage now creates, and think of it this way, you're buying on a margin account. So what's the margin account? My 5% down, let's say it's a $500,000 house, $25,000 down. Let's say historically, property earns a 5%, it's just a little less than that, but
Yeah.
earns a 5% rate of appreciation per year. It's 4, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So at 4%, that's $20,000 per year on a $500,000 house. Okay. We're going to own that because my daughters take after me. So they're going to be on the 5-year program too. So they're going to be in school for 4 years. Okay. We're going to own that house now for 6. Why 6? Well, because my daughter will have lived there. Actually, we'll own it for 7 because my daughter will live there. She'll graduate college. She will have student loans. Okay. She will have student loans. They will be in her name. She will have student loans. Then she will have graduated 2 years after she moves out of that duplex, quadplex, triplex, or single family home. It's been a rental property. Provided the capital gains tax rules don't change, Chris, she'll have the ability to sell that house and walk away with the proceeds, capital gains tax free. And I'm betting on the fact that my $25,000 can turn into $100,000, $125,000, $200,000 worth of equity in that time period. And that's more than a college education costs. So now She sells the property if she wants. It's her choice. She liquidates it. She either pays off her debts with it, or she figures out another way to pay the student loans back, and she leverages that into some other type of investment. But that's her money. Now, I spent $25,000 in down payment plus some closing costs. She took out the student education loans, the actual college loans, in order to go through school, assuming she doesn't get any scholarships. And we let other people then offset the cost of the mortgage through the duplex or renting out the rooms. And it's a win-win in that particular case. So that's a strategy that could very well be utilized, and other people have been using it. But here's the thing. Our generations, Chris, like, you and I came up and college was still affordable. College isn't affordable anymore. And Americans
Yeah.
have now realized that. People that are coming out that we're doing mortgages for, these student loans are saddling, like they are strapped. They are strapped with student loans. And it's been under the guise of like, hey, it's cool. Just take out more money, get a bigger education. You'll go make more money. Well, look, it took us a while, but as a population, generally, we're starting to get wise to the fact that these student loans kind of feel like a trap. Cool. So now, if we really, really, really want to improve our children's lives and we want to teach them to do things better, we have to learn from our mistakes. And our mistakes are thinking that just because we spent the money on college, that it's okay to just pay it back like we normally would. No, we need to think of other creative strategies to get it done. And that's one example of how you can do it.
Cool. And so like I love what you're kind of going with that, Andy, because like you brought up a couple of different things. So one is if I heard you correctly, because the parent actually qualified for it, then you went on as a because you did it with your daughter or child,
Yep.
you qualified as a non-occupant co-borrower.
Yes,
And that's what allowed it to be at 5%, not 20% or 25%.
exactly.
Okay.
That's the hack that exists. Now, what do you give up? Well, my daughter won't be a first-time home buyer anymore. Okay, so she's not going to qualify for maybe a $5,000 or $10,000 federal grant, but she went to college for free,
Yeah.
right? It's which one is.
And so when you said that she couldn't get the money as a like a down payment, you can't do it that way because you're on it, correct?
Right, but I mean after she sells it, right? If I just bought her a
Yeah.
house, I could buy the house. She's not on it, no big deal. If I put her on it, she gets to be the owner occupant. I get to be the non-owner occupant, but she's no longer a first-time home buyer. That's okay. That's the whole plan.
That's
Because
it. It's okay too because she's not going to need to be take advantage of some of that first time home buyer stuff because now she has an asset. She
correct.
could either, like you said, sell that asset. She could potentially keep that asset if she wanted to.
Yeah.
She could like, and realistically, Andy, based on what you're kind of telling me, if she really didn't want to like sell that asset, she could either refinance it, she could pull money out of it and do
Yeah.
that same thing, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the key. Once it gets to the point where, and this is really important. So once it gets to the point that she's making the payments on the house without me putting money in her account, that debt no longer affects me in anything that I want to do after she documents that she's done that for a 12-month time period. So if she wants to graduate school, let's say I get her a mortgage and interest rates, right? Because we came through COVID, we got COVID rates, right? And I mean, we're talking 2-3%. Let's just pretend somebody did this then. Well, somebody
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily want to refinance that debt. Okay, well, just make the payments. You make the payments for 12 months. We document that, and it no longer impacts me for my qualification as long as you pay the bill on time. So that's a really 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 liquid strategy, and it doesn't. One of the things that we highlighted in this flyer to talk about is how to get infinite ROI in real
Yeah.
estate, right? And so we're crazy to think that I'm going to just take cash out of my account and dump it in for down payment. I'm going to leverage other real estate I already own.
Yeah.
See, when you own real estate, you get to access the real estate value tax free, regardless of what it is, where it is, how long you've had it, provided you don't liquidate and sell that asset. Any money you tap in equity is tax free while you're using it. So, yeah, I'm going to go get a couple $100,000 equity line on my house. I already have one. My first daughter will get 5% down. My second, daughter will get 5% down. My son will get 5% down. My last daughter will get 5% down. And and then I'm done having kids, right? Because I can't do more than 4 kids in college. So the reality is, right? That's a strategy that works. It's not right for everybody, but it's a
Right.
strategy that people can start thinking of right now. Here's another one. Why not go buy a house now in the town that you think your kid's going to go to school in? Okay, now you got to have more down payment. 20% down, 25% down, depending on the type of property. It's an investment property. Go in and invest, right? So, like, I know my kid's going to Ohio State because I know it, right? So I go to Columbus. I go buy a house right now, June 19th, 2024. And my oldest goes to college in whatever that is, 6 years, 5 years, right? 6 years. So she goes to college in 6 years. At 4%, my $400,000 house is now worth $80,000 more. If I want to, I just sell the property and there's your college money. Now, I probably wouldn't do that because I'd want to have a place to live. So you can also buy something early. Here's another thing. You can buy a home, Chris, and I love this strategy, right? Like if I they always talk about the things that's like, hey, if you could do it again, what would you go tell your 21-year-old self? Right? Here's what I'd tell my 21-year-old self. Go buy one house every year as your primary residence, put the
Mm.
minimum down payment in, don't ever sell them, hold them, rent them out after 1 year. And when you have 4 kids like me and you're ready to send them all to college, it's 20 years down the road. Those properties are worth every single bit of the college tuition. And guess what? Still don't sell them. Just refinance them, pull the money out, pay for college, and be done.
Yeah. And what's interesting, Andy, when you were talking about that, like, you talked at the beginning of how like things that there's a couple $1 million I wish I would have like come back. That's what when you just said that, I bought my first house at 28.
Yeah.
And when you said that, it literally flashed. What would be the thing? I would never have sold that house.
I got a
I
good
would have
friend
never
in
sold the house. Like,
I got a good friend in the mortgage space. He wrote a book called Never Sell Your First Home. Genius. Wow. Why didn't we think of that? Right?
right.
Never sell
Right.
your
I bought
first
that
home.
house in Hawaii for $187,000.
Oh, you're killing me.
187, bro.
You're
I
killing
mean,
me.
like, I'm like, oh my God, like, why did I sell this freaking house? And I sold it in 5 years and made about $200,000 on it
Just,
in
I mean,
five
that's
years, bro.
that's great money. That's crazy money. But that
Yeah.
was before the boom.
That was before the boom, before the crash.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so like, so this is what's like cool about what you were kind of talking about. And for people that don't know, and this is actually, I just ran some numbers. I did some numbers locally here in Florida, and the national numbers are better than the numbers I'm just going to give you. Okay. And so I looked at, okay, what if someone took bought a home FHA, put 3.5% down. I looked at 3.5% down, 5%, 20%, 10%. Okay. I
Yeah.
looked at those four comparisons.
Yeah.
And if someone had bought a home back in 2005 at the peak of the market, okay, that was like the highest peak of our market, and then just rode
Yeah.
it into
They had the
today.
crash. So they went through the
Yeah.
crash.
Went through the crash, rode that number. Do you realize they would have had, if they did it with FHA, they would have had 100% return on that investment annually
Yep. Yep.
at the
100%
peak
ROI. Yeah.
through the downturn and where we're at now. So obviously those numbers, if it was post crash, those numbers are crazy high, you
Yeah.
know? That and so like I look at that and saying, okay, like this is how you build wealth, right? This is a strategy that you can build wealth. You can keep that property, use it, leverage it, like you were saying, and it provides a lot of different capability to do a variety of different things financially for someone. So
Well, there's a couple other things too, Chris, to share. So first of all, I know even today in this day and age, I know a lot of families where they have one spouse that doesn't have employment, that doesn't work, right? Stay at home dad, stay at home mom. So one of the unique pieces, so one of the unique features about real estate is that it's passive income. right? Or passive loss.
Yeah.
So unless you are Chris Baker, in which case real estate is your business and it's active, right? So if you own rental real estate, here's the thing: on paper, the real estate is never, ever, ever going to make money because of depreciation, right? Like, I mean, I look at tax returns, Chris, for 23 years. I've looked at tax returns. Hardly ever, if ever, have I seen a tax return where somebody owns a property and taxably does it make money. Okay. So depreciation is this phantom expense that exists, right? Because the actual material component of the investment deteriorates over time, just like if you buy a copier through your business or a car or whatever, right? Okay. So real estate has multiple ways that you can depreciate it. And this isn't meant to be a super, tight tax course. By the way, I do want to say, Chris, anybody that want, like, one thing that I pride myself on is I will talk to anyone. If they just want to understand this more, they can go to schedulewithandy.com and they can just pick a time on my calendar and we're going to talk for 15, 20 minutes. They don't get charged anything. This is what I do, right? I help guide people. So the quick version of this conversation is this. You can depreciate your real estate currently over 26 and a half years. Okay. So value of real estate, certain things depreciate at different schedules, but an easy way to think of it is if you have $100,000 property, well, they don't exist anymore, right? And that's the structural value. You divide that by 26 and a half, and what you get is a deduction. That is the depreciation amount that you get to claim. So real quick, because it's kind of an odd number, $100,000 divided by 26.5 is $3,773. Okay. So your depreciation expense, even if you rent the property out, and you make $300 a month on the property cash flow, true cash flow, you have no expenses, and you make $300. You still don't owe any income tax on that property because you have depreciation of $3,773. It offsets any of your gains. Okay. So now you get to make $300 a month, but you don't owe Uncle Sam any of that money. Okay. It's a cool concept. Now, you can do it that way, or you can currently accelerate the depreciation. Okay. If you have a non-working spouse and they're going to manage your real estate, then you can look into something called rep status, real estate professional status. Okay. That doesn't mean you're a realtor. You're not buying, you're not selling people homes. You're not trying to put Chris out of a job. You're not competing with him, right? You're managing your own real estate. You're investigating, you're looking at it. And there's all kinds of rules you got to check out. We can talk more about them, talk to your CPA, but the idea is, by the way, here's my disclaimer. None of this constitutes tax advice. Talk to your CPA, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Look, but by the way, these are concepts we use. So now if you accelerate it, you get to take bonus depreciation. If it still exists, it's been winding down, but you might get to take in this year 60% of that $100,000 on year one. Now you write off $60,000. Well, you don't have 60 grand of income on that property. So it offsets the 300 a month that you made. But now your spouse doesn't work and manages all of this. This is their job. If they meet that status, you have a $60,000 loss that offsets the other spouse's $60,000 of W-2 income. Now, how much income tax do you have to pay if on one line in expenses you have 60 grand in losses, offset is 60 grand in gain? You just got away. If that were simplistic scenario were true, you would spend an entire year not paying Uncle Sam any federal income tax.
Like that.
Right? So now start exploring that. Why? Well, because you're a realtor. First of all, dude, you should own as much real estate as you can, because all that does is offset the gains that you make in your Schedule C or your 1120S or however you file, right? You're active. Yeah. That's active. That's the way it works. Now, you can accumulate properties while you work on getting the status. I have some clients that do this. They go through and they accumulate properties every year, sometimes multiple times a year. They depreciate them all. Neither of them can qualify as a professional real estate investor yet, okay? Because they have W-2 jobs that they work 40 plus hours a week. They make a couple $100 grand a year. They don't qualify, but they're building up and they're accelerating the depreciation. So every single year, they're building this massive snowball of loss that exists, okay? Like I'm talking $1 million of losses waiting on paper for something to offset. So now what do? Well, now they retire. Now they're an active real estate professional because that's their only job. That's what they're doing. They're just managing their real estate portfolio and they meet the test. Now, they take the distributions from their IRAs, from their 401ks, from their Social Security, and every year their CPA pulls in $120,000 a year out of their $1 million of accumulated losses. And they don't owe any money for 10 years. They got 120 grand coming in. They don't owe any tax on it because they're taking as an active individual $100,000 of loss. I mean, it's a magical thing when you can own
Uh-huh.
real estate, you know?
Yeah, that's a great one because I haven't actually heard that one. So that's a perfect one. Thank you for sharing that. That's
I'm
a
just trying to make,
phenomenal.
I'm trying to save. Listen, the game isn't so people spend, I mean, because I do this all day long. People go back and forth with me over 1/8% in interest rate, like it is going to make, like it's going to matter, right? Okay, like it's going to matter. Here's the deal. If I can show you how to take your tax rate from 36% to 25%, that's real money, right? That's real money. Oh, by the way, that 1/8% actually helps you achieve that, just so you know. Okay.
Yeah,
So look, the idea is we're focused on the wrong stuff as a society, right? We're focused on all the stuff that everybody wants us focused on because that's how they make money on us. We got
yeah,
to spend time looking outside that box, like I talked about.
yeah. That's a great one. That's a great one. Cool, man. Those are like really two like great nuggets and stuff like that that people can kind of use and and I like it. So we talked about one the non-occupant co-borrow, which is really a great concept that people can kind of use.
Yeah.
We talked about how do you leverage, either from a multifamily standpoint, leveraging that capability to offset some of those other expenses. And
Yeah.
it doesn't, and obviously sometimes, depending on your location, that duplex could be kind of expensive. Like, to
Of
be
course.
honest, it could be expensive. You can still use that same concept for a single family and you can
Sure.
like do a house hack. Like, I mean, you can have multiple rooms that you share. So like that concept doesn't go away.
No, no.
You can do it within your budget, you know?
Correct. Correct. It's
So
exactly
that's
right.
a great, you know, um, um, a great tool that you can kind of use. And then this last piece of talking about how do you leverage depreciation and
I know
having
you're
that.
going to call me to talk more about that one later. I know.
Yeah, that's a great one. And then like and what was the term that you used? It was like a non-pro real estate. What was the
Yeah,
term?
it's called rep status. So it's real
Rep
estate
status. Okay,
professional.
perfect.
Real estate professional.
Yeah, rep status. That's great,
Which
man.
which
That's
is
great.
not synonymous with realtor again. It's a real estate professional. You know, there's one more hack that I want to share, which is something that again, consult with your tax professional, et cetera. Every state's a little different. So in Virginia, which is where I'm based, right? Again, in 50 states, I spent a lot of time in Florida though. But
Yeah,
as
you
as
sure do.
far as like as far as rules go, this is loosely how Virginia works. So Virginia, if you have a family business, okay, you can hire your children to help at any age. Okay, so one of the things to think about is, and this is another hack for self-employed individuals, i.e., you could have self-employed real estate business, right? Like you could be a
Mhm.
realtor. You could also be an individual that owns properties and puts them in an 1120S, which is a type of corporation, or an LLC. Or you could be self-employed of another, whatever. Maybe maybe you run a, I don't know, a small shop or something like that, right? A small little, like novelty shop or something, whatever. So you can hire your children to do work for you. There are some specific rules, like they wouldn't let the children go work in a slaughterhouse, right? I was really hoping to open one of those. Couldn't do that. Too dangerous. Can't do like lawn care type work. But they can do things like they can help clean up houses. You can pay them for advertising, right? Where like children go in advertising. Or if we, for example, say, for example, we had a turnover on a house and it needed cleaned and painted. Okay, well, the kids can help do that. Take out trash. They can do this type of stuff. Well, my wife is also self employed. And so the children help her at her practice, okay, at her business. They do a bunch of stuff throughout the year. Then there's always marketing. We replace the marketing every year with the kids and doing different things that around the office, cleaning, that type of thing. And then what happens is their, their pay rate is factored out to effectively the standard deduction. So this year, the standard deduction is $14,400. So each of my children get paid $14,400 for the year to do all the work that they're going to do, right? It's broken down hourly. They get their paychecks. Now, at the end of the year, they're below the taxable limit. Okay. So they don't owe any income tax because the standard deduction the IRS gives you wipes out all of that income and says, you don't have any deductions. We're going to give you these deductions. It's not taxable. Okay. Now, it's an expense to us because it's an employment expense, right? So we still have to pay payroll taxes, et cetera. But if I'm in the 36% federal income tax bracket and my children are in the 0% income tax bracket, which one's better? The 0% income tax bracket, right? So we pay the children to do the work. We have to pay the normal payroll taxes on it, but that's what, 13%, which we would, it's much cheaper than 36. Now, they take 50% of their income roughly, and they put it aside into a Roth IRA. So now the money was paid to them tax-free. They don't owe income tax on it. They start building their Social Security already. They get to invest it tax-free into the Roth IRA, where it grows tax-free in the IRA, and then they can access it tax-free in the IRA. Or they could use that if they want in order to buy a house down the road, right? Because you can take IRA money without penalty, and the benefit to that IRA money is in a Roth, it grows tax-free. So that's another strategy that as a self-employed individual running a real estate business or any other self-employment, you get to use. Now, if I really, really want to, the other money gets invested in cash. So now don't get me wrong. When it is time to put the 5% down on the house, the kids are going to pony up half of the 5%, right? I said I'd pay it all. But the reality is I'm paying it all already by making sure that that money gets deposited into the right investment accounts. And look, a 0% federal income tax bracket is a heck of a lot better than a 36% income tax bracket.
That's for sure. It's interesting you said this, Andy, and like, so I used to do this for my father. So like, I was actually, when my dad was running his architectural business, I was
Yeah.
actually cleaning his office, and he was paying me to do it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He just
And
never shared with me that it could be, this is a strategy.
well, yeah, but you know what? But that said, a lot of people don't know that it is.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people. There's a couple great books that are out that talk about it. You can pick them up on Amazon. Real Estate Tax Strategies for the Savvy Investor. It's a series of books that are written by these two CPAs. It's a phenomenal book. The hacks and the just the loopholes that exist in there are phenomenal. It's a great book, right? I'm a total geek. Like, I love it. I devoured them. So I recommend them for all my clients. But Chris, the point is, these are 3 or 4 strategies that you as a realtor now, right? You are now armed to have the right conversations with your client to say, yeah, but have you thought about? Have you given consideration to? And look, our job as providers is to just open people's minds. I'm never going to push somebody through the door, but if you don't even know the door is there, and then you find out at a later date the door was there, nobody just told you about it, that's the definition of pissed off, right? Now you're going to call your dad and be like, Dad, why didn't you tell me about this in the beginning, right? Come on, you
Right.
know?
Right. And that's honestly, this is the kind of like the focus of Wealth Building Wednesdays. There's so many different things that people can do. And I don't know them all, right? But I know people like you, and I know other people that know certain things that maybe I don't know, and that can share it to my folks and the people that I care about. And so,
Well, you're doing an awesome thing here, man. These Wealth Building Wednesdays are fantastic. I'm excited for everybody on this call, everybody that's going to watch it, afterwards and recording. And look, if you don't know Chris yet, you should. Look, his network. Here's the cool part: his network of expertise, right? The agents that the people that not only across the country but across the world, right? That are experts in real estate. Those are all people that you have the ability to introduce them to and make sure they get the right advice. Because I'll tell you now, I knew this after 3 years of doing this, but after 23 years of doing this, there are not many Chris Bakers in the real estate environment. There just are not many realtors like you. And the reality is that's a great thing for you, but it's a crappy thing for the general public because you're still a secret agent, right?
Yeah.
So we got to get you out there, man. So look, just like and follow you because what you're doing is fantastic, man. I applaud it.
Well, I appreciate it, Andy, and I appreciate and I say the same about you, man. Like it's really good. It's good that you shared, you take some time out of your schedule on this holiday, and I truly appreciate you being here and kind of sharing some wisdom. And so, Andy, if you can kind of share too, and I'll post this later, but how do people get into contact with you if they have some questions about, okay, hey, I want to do these anything related to what we kind of talked about today, or just in general, mortgages.
Yeah.
I know you do a lot of different, you have a plethora of different products that you kind of push out, and you really only talked about one today.
Yeah.
Um, what's a great way that they can reach you and get in contact with you?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking, man. So, AndyZeman.com, that's Andy, just like Toy Story Andy, and Zeman is Zemon, lemon with a Z. But AndyZeman.com, and you can text me through that. You can email me through that. You can go there and you can get a qualification letter, a pre-qual without a hard credit inquiry, without uploading documentation. I mean, we really do. What I pride myself on is this: two things. Well, three things really. Number one, you always get me. All the real estate strategies, Chris, that we create are done by me. They're not done by my team. I've got a phenomenal team that does a fantastic job doing what they do, but everybody that wants to talks to me. We set the strategy, okay? And we do it. It's not a mortgage process. It's a, what are we trying to do? What do you need to accomplish? How, like, what are your limitations? What are your risks? It's a conversation, right? It's not an application. It's a conversation. We don't even start with an application. We start with book a 15-minute call on my calendar and just tell me what in the world you got going on and what you want to learn about. If I wish I had $1 for every time somebody took a 15-minute call and then we never spoke again, I'd be retired already, right? That's probably some of those $1 million that are missing. And that's cool. Come and get what you need. But andyzeman.com is a great way. On there is my business cell number. You can text me out of the blue and just be like, hey, I saw you on, Wealth Building Wednesdays. I just had a quick question for you. If you got a minute, cool. I'll call you personally. That's the whole point of this, right? Is information has been gated, Chris, in this country for way too long. Okay. Information is free. Okay. It's the expertise to make sure everything goes right. That's not. So it's easy. AndyZeman.com. Check it out. Send me a text, send me an email, send me a smoke signal. I don't care what it is. We'll get you an answer and we'll figure out what you got going on and I'll help you put together a strategy or at least just answer your questions.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you in person here sooner or later.
Yeah,
It'll be
man.
this
I
year.
hope
So,
I
but
hope we get I hope we get to see you soon. And Chris, really, truly, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate the kind words you gave me and just the honor of being invited on your show. So I appreciate it.
awesome, man. And so, thank you. And reach out to Andy if you have any questions, or reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to me also if you have any questions. We would love to help you kind of build wealth in the real estate
Oh,
space. I'm very passionate about it. Like I said, our mission is to build wealth, families, and communities one home at a time. And I hope you take advantage of that and use this as a great vehicle to build wealth.
that's awesome.
All
Hey,
right.
Chris, I forgot one thing. They can go
Oh,
follow me
okay.
on Instagram. Then they'll see all my
Oh,
reels. Go follow me on Instagram. I'll give you all my advice on Instagram. Just go to Andy Zeman. That's it. Same name.
okay.
Follow me on Instagram.
Awesome, man.
All right, buddy.
Well, we'll end on that note and look forward to helping you build wealth. See you guys.